All right, a big Wednesday in Santa Clara. Larry Krueger with you as we talk all things Niners here on the Krug Show. And it was a big day today. 49ers are back on the practice field, getting ready to take on the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football. There was no Yatir Gross-Matos today, no Ricky Pearsall. And the Pearsall knee injury is a little problematic because Shanahan admitted that they were hoping that the Pearsall knee would heal faster than it has, and it hasn't healed that fast. It doesn't look like he's going to play this week. CMC and Trent Williams both were given rest days, and then Sky Moore's got an ankle injury. Sky Moore fielded 2 punts inside the 5. And we saw Jordan Watkins on the practice field today fielding punts, and I think there's a very good chance that Watkins is going to take over that job from Sky Moore on Sunday night. Shanahan was asked about the strategic side of the whole thing, and he's like, no, there's no strategy. He's like, we got to get better, on special teams, and that's one area where they clearly need to get better. So I think Sky Moore is going to be out. Jordan Watkins is going to be in. Now, as far as who was limited today at practice, Mac Jones was, but Kyle said that Mac Jones was less limited than Brock Purdy. So Purdy, was jogging around. He did resume throwing today, so he was out there throwing. But every time it was time for him to jog around, he looked really, really like he was jogging very gingerly. So this is going to be a very interesting situation going forward because the Niners have a lot more games left than they seemingly have healthy quarterbacks. They could be without either Purdy or Jones here in the next couple of weeks very easily. So will they add another quarterback? Will they go for a veteran? Greg Papa mentioned trading for Kirk Cousins today on his show. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think that's kind of interesting. So Mac Jones was limited today. Jauan Jennings limited. George Kittle with the hamstring limited. Watkins with the calf injury was limited, but as I said, he did field punts. Kevin Givens with the pec. He's got a 3-week window to return. This is week number 2. We'll see if he returns. He was limited today with that pec injury. Renardo Green's got a neck injury. CJ West has got a broken thumb. He was limited. Purdy was limited with the toe, but he was back throwing. Dom Pooney was limited with the knee. And Kalia Davis has a broken hand, and he was limited today as well. Some of the news and notes coming out of Wednesday's practice, Fred Warner's surgery, according to Kyle Shanahan, went very well, but there is no hard timeline for Fred's return. Some questions were asked, hey, could Fred come back if it was a 3-month, rehab? Could he come back this year? I would just say put that out of your mind. That's not going to happen. He's not coming back this year. Even if the Niners make it to the Super Bowl, he's not coming back this year. I'd be very, very, very shocked. And Shanahan did not want to put any timeline on it, probably for that reason right there, that they just don't want to have that expectation that Fred's coming back. But Fred's not coming back this year. That was a major, major injury, an ankle fracture and an ankle dislocation. You got to reattach everything and surgically repair it, and it's been repaired. Hopefully he'll rehab well and get back, but I don't think it's going to be this year. Nick Martin, Kyle Shanahan admitted that Nick Martin may be activated this week and may play. Tatum Bethune played a number of special team snaps, and now Bethune moves up into Fred Warner's spot. And by the way, Tatum Bethune is going to wear the green dot. So a lot of people speculated maybe it'd be D. Winters. It's not going to be D. Winters. It's going to be Tatum Bethune. So Bethune, who had 10 tackles last week, starts for Fred Warner, and he will be calling the defense, and he will be wearing the green dot, communicating with the coaching staff. Nick Martin, though, is going to get on the field. He's going to get active. The Bethune was, had a big role on special teams, and now with Bethune being promoted, they're not going to play him on special teams. They'll have Nick Martin take his role on special teams. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm kind of excited to see what Nick Martin can bring to the table. I think Nick Martin is a big time athlete. He's a big time hitter. He's fast. He hits hard. I can't wait to see what he brings to the table. All right, we are brought to you, of course, by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And the entire football season on the Krug Show is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chats, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. So use the promo code Larry, real easy to remember, Larry. That's the promo code Larry. And Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. There was a couple different stories this morning circulating about potential trades. Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano from ESPN went to Twitter and put out first of all, they put out a story, and then they also tweeted about it. Lots of people started tweeting about it. In the story, they said that the 49ers consider Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals defensive end, an ideal fit for their defense. And it also revealed that the Niners have been scanning the trade market across the league, looking for pass rush. They have one sack in each game since Bosa went out. So they're not developing that pass rush, and it's not surprising that they don't have it. Bosa did a lot of it. So according to Fowler and Graziano on ESPN.com, if the Bengals would trade Trey Hendrickson for a, quote, reasonable compensation, and that's, we can debate that forever. What is reasonable compensation? Is it what do you think it is? I would say reasonable compensation is a second-round pick. A first-round pick is not reasonable because this is a guy who's a free agent at the end of the year. A third-round pick is not really reasonable because if the Bengals just kept him and allowed him to walk away, they would get a third-round or compensatory pick by the league after the third round. So you're not going to trade him for a third-round pick and let the Niners go get that compensatory pick. Most likely, or if you are, you're going to want a first or a second round pick. Now, the 49ers are not going to offer that first round pick because it's earmarked for an offensive tackle. But I think the round 2 pick might be reasonable. That might be reasonable compensation. And it might be viewed by both teams as reasonable compensation. So we'll have to see. According to Fowler and Graziano, the Bengals do not intend to trade Trey Hendrickson. But if they lose to Pittsburgh, Chicago, and the Jets, who they play before the November 4th trade deadline, that could change. They could pivot. They could pivot to a trade. This report also said the Niners had interest or have been checking in on a number of defensive ends. Rashawn Gary and Kingsley Enagbare from Green Bay, which doesn't make a lot of sense because I don't think Green Bay is going to help the Niners. So I think you can draw a line through those guys. Then supposedly the Niners have checked in on Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. Now, I like that duo for Miami. I think they're definitely available. Chubb, I don't think is a great scheme fit, though he does have a lot of experience, and he's probably the guy who could dial up the most heat right now, but I'm not sure if he's a great fit for the scheme. He's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. Then you have Jalen Phillips, who has been a great pass rusher for years. I mean, going back to UCLA, going back to the Hurricanes, but he has a hard time staying healthy, and he's probably the most glass player on this list. Then Arden Key is on the list, but he was inactive last week for the Titans. He's got a quad injury, so that has to be researched as well. And then they threw a couple New York Jets on here. Will McDonald IV and Jermaine Johnson. And the Jets also have Michael Clemens, who's a defensive end, who's about 270 pounds. So of these teams, I think the Jets have the most, the player that makes the most sense. Now, Hendrickson is also on this list. I just think that, the cost for Hendrickson is probably going to be pretty prohibitive. And there may be a lot of pain involved with that. And I kind of think that the Niners could use two bodies. I mean, to me, the best move would be Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson could replace what Bosa gave you on first and second down, and Will McDonald can replace what Bosa gave you on third down. I think that makes sense. Now, these Graziano and Fowler also speculated that maybe the Niners could be interested in a trade for a linebacker. And they threw out Quincy Williams, the Jets linebacker, who became an all-pro player under Robert Saleh. I mean, you can make an argument Saleh made Quincy Williams. They're suggesting maybe the Niners will get involved in a in a trade before the trade deadline for Quincy Williams or Christian Harris. Now, Harris is interesting. He was considered to be like a star linebacker. And then there was some regression, but he's very athletic, really talented, can break down in space against an athletic player. I really like Christian Harris. I mean, that would be, to me, that would be a very, very nice addition if you could get Christian Harris. Now, I tweeted out, don't forget, the practice squad. You got Eugene Asante, you got Chandler Martin. I mean, those guys are really good young linebackers. You have Chris Paul. The three of those guys, I think, are better than what the Niners have on their bench. And I'd love to see the Niners add one of those practice squad linebackers. I mean, if you're going to make, let's say, if you're going to make a trade, I don't think you can make more than one trade. So, you don't want to, and Fowler has said the Niners are balancing their desire to get extra talent with their desire to not trade away 2026 draft capital. So they don't want to trade their number one pick. It's earmarked for a tackle. But how about the number two? How about a number three? I think they'd be more open-minded to that. And I think the Jets make a lot of sense. Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. McDonald will help you on third down. Jermaine Johnson helps you on first and second down. I think that makes the most sense. As far as linebacker, I kind of like what they have in-house. I like Tatum Bethune. I like Nick Martin. I'm pretty comfortable with those guys. If I wanted to pick up somebody else, I would pluck somebody off a practice squad, and I just named the guys that I would look at. Those are the guys I'd be fired up about. Let's talk a little bit about TJ Hushmanzada. I don't know if you saw this, but TJ Hushmanzada went on 95.7 The Game and basically speculated that Jauan Jennings, or basically said that the Niners ought to trade Jauan Jennings, and said that, he's really not happy because of Kendrick Bourne, that, JJ's back and he wants to, reach these makeable incentives, and you got all these guys that are out, and now Bourne is stealing his sunshine and has had back-to-back 140-yard days, and that's at the center of the frustration between, JJ and Kyle Shanahan. And all I would say is I hope that's not the case. I hope that's not the case, because if it is the case, it shows that Jauan Jennings is now putting his contractual situation over what's best for the team. I mean, Kendrick Bourne caught a bunch of balls for 140 yards and a touchdown, and he's done it now in back-to-back weeks, and he's giving you a great chance to win. Be happy. Be happy that you're on a winning team. Be happy that your team's 4-2 at the break. Be happy that Bourne is helping your team get better. Don't be resentful. Oh, he's taking my reps. Oh, he's taking balls that should be coming to me. And I hope that I hope TJ Hushmanzada is wrong, and that Jauan Jennings is not upset about Kendrick Bourne, stealing his sunshine and taking some of the balls that were going to be going to Jennings. They're now going to Kendrick Bourne. So, I mean, I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. All right, let's hear from Tatum Bethune. Tatum Bethune, is this the biggest game of his career? And a lot of people are like, a lot of people on social media are like, Tatum Bethune sucks. Tatum Bethune's going to get worked. Tatum Bethune was awful last week. Well, first of all, he gave up one busted play touchdown, but he didn't practice all week. He didn't take any of those reps. He's going to be much better this week. I mean, basically, he took a test. It would be like, how well in high school did you do on the pop quiz? Because that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, should he prepare like he's going to play? Yeah, but come on, that's not human nature. Human nature is you step it up when you need to step it up. So, I think Tatum Bethune is going to be way, way better this week. He'll get all the reps. He'll get all the instruction. The guys were cheering him on today. Fred is the guy that normally gets the group together. And when the Niners were gathering in the middle of the field to start practice, you heard some of the veterans going, Tatum, let's go, Tatum. Like in other words, you step in for Fred and you lead the room. And that's a tall ask for a young football player. But I talked to him at his locker and I said, man, are you excited about this opportunity? He's like, yeah, I'm really excited. And he admitted that he's a very confident player. He's a big hitter. And I thought he made a number of nice plays. 10 tackles, 4 solo, or I think it was 10 tackles, 4 assists. He looked really, really good. Really, really good. Anyway, let's hear from young Tatum Bethune. It was funny. McCaffrey spoke, and then it was time for Bethune to speak. Their lockers were right next to each other, and everybody started gathering around Tatum, and he looked nervous, but then he spoke with a lot of poise, and he's got confidence. He's got a belief in himself, and I love that about Tatum Bethune. I think this kid's going to play well. Here he is in the locker room today, Tatum Bethune.
So much of people in the locker room describe this a gut punch with Fred going out. For you, you have to go in there and fill in for him.
Yeah.
So what was your mindset going in?
Yeah, Fred, he's the leader of the team, not just the defense, So he goes down, that's a huge blow to every single one of us. And we all are professionals, and we got to prepare like we're the starter. So I'm just being able to go in and just make sure there's no drop-off when Fred comes off the field. And that's my goal right now. And I'm not trying to be like Fred. I'm just make sure I'm Tatum Bethune, and that's what I'm going to do leading forward.
Tatum, everybody talks about what type of leader Fred is. What sort of a teacher has he been for you?
Fred's been everything to me, a teacher, just a brother, just a friend too, everything, the way he carries himself on and off the field. I just learned a lot from Fred. And I'm rooting for him. He's in good spirits right now, but our goal is to go out there and make him proud on the field and show him that the legacy and the standard that he set for this San Francisco 49ers defense is going to be upheld.
Yeah, smart kid. I mean, well-spoken, smart football player, really high IQ player. Shows up at the football a lot. Came into the league as a 5'11", 230-pound linebacker that ran in the 4.7s and, high 4.7s, low 4.8s. Too slow. And he just had to remake his body, but he did. And he lost some bad weight, added some good weight, and picked up a step and a half. And he's looked so much better this summer. And I expect him to play pretty well. He's not Fred Warner. Fred Warner's the greatest coverage linebacker the league's ever seen. But Tatum Bethune's going to step in, and he's going to play. He's going to play well. I have a lot more fears about the Niners in other areas than I do about Tatum Bethune. He's a real assignment sound, physical football player. This guy had 10 tackles. I'm telling you, a 15 tackle game is in there. And then what are people going to say? What are people going to say when you come up at the end of the game and it's like, oh, Tatum Bethune had 15 tackles? Yeah. He's really, really around the ball a lot. So I feel good about him. He's going to get a lot of opportunity. Here comes Bijan. Nobody runs it better. Bijan's averaging 164 total yards from scrimmage per game. Number 1 in the NFL. So you're going to have to stop Bijan. There's going to be a lot of running plays. Falcons are going to run the ball. And it's up to Tatum Bethune to make sure that he starches the running back and just sends Bijan Robinson back to Atlanta, a bruised and beat up running back. All right, we had a chance to talk to Kyle Shanahan. Of course, he had his Wednesday presser, and I mentioned to him that Atlanta defensively has 14 sacks. But if you look at it, it's not like they got one guy with 14 sacks. They got 10 guys who have contributed to that 14 sack total, which makes you nervous. That means they got a lot of talented guys. And I asked Shanahan about it. Here's what he had to say.
I was looking at Atlanta's numbers. They have 14 sacks, but it's from like 10 different guys. What do you see when you watch their defense?
I see a bunch of good guys. They're all very active. They're young. They play with an extremely good motor. Every one of them has the ability to rush the quarterback. I think their scheme and just how they coach them, their effort and everything is very good. They're playing the right way, and they're talented.
Yeah. It's well said. You think about it. Zach Harrison, Ohio State, super athletic, 3rd-round pick in 23. They have Brandon Dorlus from Oregon. They have David Onyemata as a good pass rusher inside. Ruka Rororo, tremendous athlete, 2nd-round pick in 24. And then they have Leonard Floyd from the Niners. They have James Pierce from Tennessee, who's a hell of a rusher. And you have Jalen Walker from Georgia, who's just a phenomenal athlete. So Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State, D'Angelo Malone from Western Kentucky. They got a bunch of dudes. They got a bunch of guys. They got 5 outside rushers: Floyd, Walker, Pierce, Ebiketie, and Malone. It's a pretty good group. Then they've got some athletic inside guys too. Caden Ellis, Divine Diablo, the former Raider. So yeah, they got 14 sacks is a lot of sacks, but then 10 different players contributing. I mean, that tells you that it's good luck figuring out who's coming and when, and how it's. I mean, it's gonna be a real challenge for the Niners offensive line, because Jalen Walker is incredible athlete off the edge, one of the best in the league. Leonard Floyd has got a real knack for just kind of reading where the quarterback steps up in the pocket. He's really good. Pierce is a big, athletic, 245-pound, defensive end that runs like a safety. I mean, he's just unbelievably fast. And then they've got some big bodies inside. Aurora, Onyemata, Dorless is about 280. Harrison's a big guy. So the Niners are going to be challenged. The Niner offensive line is going to be challenged significantly in this game. All right. Caught up with a couple guys in the room today. One of them was Jordan Watkins. I really enjoyed Jordan Watkins. I loved him at Ole Miss. Good football player. It's funny too, if you go back to the pre-draft, scouting reports on Jordan Watkins, it's like they did a scouting report before they realized how fast this guy was. They listed him at 5'11" and a fourth, 196 pounds. He had 9 touchdowns in 2024, 9 touchdown receptions. That led the SEC. So 6th player in SEC to average 18 plus yards per reception and 9 plus touchdowns in a season since 2017. So he had a very productive year. Niners took him with the 138th pick in the draft. And, he ran a 4.37 40 at the combine. This guy started at Louisville, finished at Ole Miss. The scouting reports were like, hey, compact wide receiver. He's strong. He's got good play strength. He was schemed into some downfield opportunities, but he's a possession receiver out of the slot, and he lacks speed. He ran 4.37. And then you look at the strength and the explosiveness. This guy's got ability to return punts. He's tough. He's got a compact frame. He's got good play strength. He's not overwhelmed by the moment. He played in the SEC. He played on a very talented Ole Miss team. The mental aspect of the game is not too much for him, but it's hilarious because it's like when you watch this guy, he had huge burst, unbelievable speed. And he was a pretty decent route runner. And yet, people are like, below average separation burst and this and that. And it's amazing when you think a guy runs in the 4.6s or, high 4.5s, what you'll say about him, as opposed to when you find out that he runs in the 4.3s. And to me, he really showed that 4.3 speed all summer. He looked really, really fast, really explosive. And he's been out. He's had a high knee. He's had a calf injury. He's had I think he had a high ankle and then a calf. He's trying to come back from the calf right now. But I think this guy's going to step in and take Sky Moore's punt return job. And I think he's going to be a rookie receiver that is a rarity, that steps in and produces. This guy was very polished his final year in Oxford, and I just think that he's going to be really good. He's going to be really, really good. I'm very bullish on Jordan Watkins, and we caught up to him today in the locker room for a few minutes before practice, and here's how it went.
All right, we're here in the Niner locker room with Jordan Watkins, Niner rookie receiver, and sounds like you may be getting an opportunity to be a return man. How excited are you about this first NFL opportunity?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Just with the setbacks that I've had the last couple months, I'm excited to get out there and really just kind of just show the league what I got. Like I said, I've had a couple setbacks in the preseason, and then on my return back, ended up getting hurt again, and so now just getting an opportunity.
You had a great year last year for Ole Miss, and when the receiver went down, you had to step up, and you really did step up. You had like 9 touchdowns. How do you look at that opportunity, that experience, and use that to help you here in the pros?
Kind of the same way. I know it's a little bit different being in the pros, but it's just kind of the same way. Really, just kind of just attacking every day. Like, I am going to get that opportunity. I am going to be the guy that's going to be that number one. So that's how I basically approach it every day. And it's whenever it comes out there on Sunday, it's just kind of the same thing.
This summer, you've got a nice little rapport with both quarterbacks. Tell us a little bit about Mac. What's it like catching footballs from him? You guys had some practice reps.
Yeah, Mac's a great quarterback. The way he's able to, spin the ball is really, one of the best. Right now I feel like, I know he's on my team and whatnot, but I feel like he's doing a heck of a job out there. The last couple of weeks I've been able to, kind of just sit back and watch things on TV a little bit. He's up there playing with the best of the best right now. So, just having that rapport with him and being able to have that connection and bond should, hopefully help me going along. So,
how you feeling physically? I know you've been out for a few weeks now. How you feeling? I'm sure you've had some time to, get a little bit better, huh?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Just taking it day by day. Kind of not trying to push it too much and just, trying to work my way back in. That's the biggest thing I feel like is just, keep taking those steps in the right direction. That's going to lead me to success.
Yeah. Do you feel like I feel like you have the skill set to really help this team quite a bit. You can make plays down the field. What route do you like? I mean, I know you made plays down the field in practice this summer and training camp, but it seems like around the short game and the quick game and the stuff around the line of scrimmage also could be part of your game.
Yeah. Option routes are my favorite routes, because it's just you one-on-one with somebody else. And I feel like if you can win one-on-one with anybody else, then you have a high success rate on any other route. But a lot of people see that, I like to catch goal balls and posts and all that other stuff. But, the intermediate routes and the choice routes, those are my favorites.
I saw Juice Wells worked out the other day. Did you guys chance to talk to Juice at all?
Yeah, he actually came by the house. What was it? Thursday. So, he was here and, I seen him in the cafeteria and I was like, hey man, just come by, watch the game. So we sat down and was able to watch the Giants play, our former quarterback Jackson. So that was fun.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. What do you think of the way Jackson's playing?
I think he's playing amazing right now.
Yeah.
I feel like, he's able to, make plays with his legs like he always has. And he's a competitor at the end of the day. So, and you kind of see it, with the way he runs the ball and the way he's able to just extend plays.
Give me one thing about you. The fans always love to know about you guys. Something about you that they don't know. I mean, obviously you guys spend a lot of time watching film, training, getting ready to play football. But when you're not here doing this, what are your interests outside of the game?
I love to golf.
Okay.
I'm probably out on the golf course most of the time. I'm not up here, outside of the season. But I also like to bake too. So
Like to what?
bake.
Like fish?
No, bake.
Oh, bake. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you cook. What's something that you like to bake?
Brownies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've eaten a few too many of those in time. Hey, man, good luck this season. We're expecting great things, man. I saw you at Ole Miss. You had a great career there. I've been telling people, hey, watch out for Jordan Watkins. This guy's coming. You got one thing you want to say to the fans? Fire away.
Get ready. Get ready. A lot of explosive plays coming your way.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.
Jordan Watkins.
All right, Jordan Watkins, good guy, and I like the confidence, man. A lot of explosive plays coming their way, so get warmed up for Jordan Watkins. He's going to be really good. Niners, I realize, have drafted some receivers, and it hasn't worked out. Jacob Cowing, and we could name tons since they drafted Terrell Owens years ago. I mean, it's the last 25 years have not been. It's not a pretty list when you look at the receivers the Niners have drafted. They've really struggled in the draft to find receivers, but they have a good one here in Jordan Watkins, and I think it's just a matter of time before this guy really takes off, and you might see it as soon as Sunday night. All right, let's finish up with William Bradley King. You guys know me. I like to go into the locker room and talk to the guys that maybe you guys don't know much about. This guy caught my eye a year ago coming out of Baylor. He's a Kansas City kid who went to Baylor, and 6'3", about 250 pounds, big hands, 10 1/4-inch hands, 33-inch arms. This guy he had started off at Arkansas State, and then he transferred to Baylor as a grad student in 2020. And he was really good. All Big 12 honorable mention from voted on by the league's coaches. Really good player in high school, then all Sun Belt Conference honors in college, and was good at two different programs. Led the Red Wolves with 3 forced fumbles during his final year there, and then got accepted to the Senior Bowl. And I think I saw him during the Senior Bowl and thought, man, this guy can do it. This guy's got a pass rushing knack. He really does. He's a high IQ player, smart player, and he's just got an ability to rush the quarterback. He's got a good savvy. He's got some good moves. He's long, athletic, kind of a heavy-handed guy. He's not the twitchiest athlete of all time, but man, he's got a real knack to rush the passer. And it was funny. There was a quote in the scouting report from an area scout from an NFC team on William Bradley King. He said the team took him in right away as a grad student, and I think the way he blended into what they wanted out of the jack position really benefited his game. So he's a good player. The Niners are going to need as much pass rush as they can come up with. This guy can do the job. I'm really confident that he's going to, when he gets on the field, he's going to do some good things. Here's a little dialogue at his locker today with William Bradley King.
All right, we're here in the Niner locker room with Niner practice squad defensive end William Bradley King, and you had a chance this summer to get into a game late in the preseason. And you know what they say, all those reps in the summer mean something, because I think you had a really nice last preseason game, opened some eyes, and they signed you. How's your year going so far?
Man, it's an honor and a blessing to, be with a dominant team, a prominent team in the National Football League.
I like watching your game, man. You know what they say about pass rushers, they'll say if they like a guy, they'll say, hey, you know what, this guy's really got a knack to rush the passer. And I think that's kind of describes your game. You kind of a knack to rush the passer. Where did that come from? How'd you develop that skill?
Yeah, I always wanted to be a pass rusher. I looked up to Von Miller. I looked up to, Warren Sapp. I looked up to people that got after the quarterback. And, pass rushing is like basketball, and I grew up playing basketball, and it was just a smooth transition. And, I had a passion for, getting after the quarterback ever since.
Where are you from? Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
From Kansas City, Missouri. I was adopted at 11. So, I had the opportunity to just kind of steal characteristics from people. So, I looked up to Ray Lewis. I saw how he was a leader. I saw how he, he was a doer before, he had preached. And, I just try to, follow behind those same steps.
That's very cool. So who would you credit for the fact that you made it to the NFL? I mean, first of all, every guy in this room has made it. You know what I mean? You guys have made it. There's a lot of little kids living the dream, wanting the dream, dreaming the dream, but they don't make it necessarily. You made it.
Yeah.
So who would you credit? Because I'm sure there's people that helped you get here. Who would you credit for helping you make it here?
Really just everything I've been through. It just set me up for, the adversity that you go through when playing in the National Football League. I feel like I already been through the tough things in life. So, this game, it just taught me so much. It really embodies the way that I try to live. How you do anything is how you do everything. And just being a high caliber, human being on and off the field.
Show us your tape job, man. You tape up your fingers here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me see now. How long does that take?
It takes about 5 minutes.
And what do you give us the breakdown for people who don't know why guys tape their fingers?
I'm really just taping my fingers to just keep the joints intact. Like
right.
As a D lineman, you shooting your hands first.
Right.
Getting off the ball, shooting your hands first. So just taping it for stability.
You ever tape them together when you get one bent back?
Yep. Oh yeah. It's a part of being a D lineman. You got to just keep going.
Couple guys over here, Kalia over here, CJ over there, they're playing with the club. You ever had to play with the club?
No, I haven't.
How hard do you think it would be to play D-line, either inside or outside, if you don't have your fingers?
I can only imagine. So that just tell you the type of human being they are.
Yeah. Nick Bosa's in your room. He's got, pass rushing is an education. The old guys know a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Not calling him an old guy, Nick, if you're around. I'm not calling you an old guy. But the older guys know a lot.
Yeah.
What have you learned from him, from Huff? Is there anything technique-wise that you've picked up from these guys since you've been here?
Really the mindset, the culture, the 49er style of play. It's a mentality, and it's just a tradition that, that new guys gotta uphold. That's what we're looking for, and that's what it takes to be a part of the 49er team.
Tell us about the room. Tell us about your room. It's probably a fun room, huh? You got some young guys. You got
super passionate coach.
Chris. Tell us about Chris.
Man, I love Chris. Super passionate about what he does. Make sure that the guys around him are feel the same way. And man, we're super competitive. Everybody pushes each other, but we're chasing that Super Bowl.
Good luck. Yes, absolutely. Hey, man, love your passion. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you play later this year and talk to you later this year. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. William Bradley King.
All right. There's every guy in that room's got a story, and there's a story to be told. I hope you guys enjoy some of those conversations. This guy can play, though. This guy, this is not like I'm talking him up and he can't play. Wait till you see William Bradley King. He can get after the quarterback. Big guy, can get after the quarterback. He's got a great motor, smart player. It's funny too. D linemen, they tape up their fingers. A lot of times, these guys get fingers caught in a helmet. And, it's just your fingers, they tape up the joints so that all the, all the pulling on them and they get mangled, and that it gives you a little bit more strength in your joints because you got them taped together. If you looked at it, it was a really tight tape job. And these guys will do that every practice. And then after practice, sitting there and undoing the tape. Some guys tape their wrists. Some guys, obviously the ankles, if you got ankle instability, it helps them. And you'll see a lot of defensive linemen tape their fingers because their grip strength and they want to try to protect their knuckles and protect their fingers as much as possible. All right, good stuff. William Bradley King, a little bit there with Jordan Watkins, Kyle Shanahan, Tatum Bethune, talking a little bit about Jauan Jennings, and then, of course, the stories of the day with the Graziano and Fowler rumors about who the Niners may be in pursuit of as that November 4th NFL trade deadline draws closer. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sleeper for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.